Welcome everybody to the, oh God, what is it? It's like my brain just went, whoop. This is the Libra full moon. Oh my God, my brain has just suddenly melted on my table. Huge apologies for that little confusing start. Welcome everybody to the Libra full moon. The full moon that is absolutely shining the brightest spotlight possible for me anyway, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm certainly feeling it. Massive spotlight on relationships and in particular boundaries. And I'm also getting structure within my little world. So it's all been pretty full on and pretty crazy. And so I'm hoping that for your sakes, you're actually, like riding the storm, so to speak. It feels very, very intense. There's been a lot of tears on my part. And I hope that if you guys have been if anyone's been going through lots of tears, that, you actually take a moment to allow the emotion to come to the surface, allow yourself to feel everything that you're feeling. And then once the tears have kind of culminated into the big stormy outlet, let everything drop and come down into a peaceful space. And if need be, find someone to communicate with to help articulate the crazy thoughts that might be running a million miles through your mind. Because if you were talking to me in the last 48 hours, that was my life. And I know that I'm not alone in this. I'm really picking up on the collective energy around all of this. So far we only have one attendee, and I also have a request for a card and for someone who wasn't able to attend. So I'll draw her a card as well. We have Jody on the call, and there'll be a card at the end for Rachel. So I'm going to draw a card for the collective. I'm not going to go into details with other astrological aspects except for two. And I think that last time we had the reading 2 weeks ago, we were about to kick into Mercury retrograde. Well, we're about 1 week into the Mercury retrograde, and everything that you thought was going to pick up speed and start to take movement forward has probably ground to a halt, and you can feel a lot of push behind you and nothing's happening fast enough. Because Mercury's retrograde, and everything we're being asked to look at is to reflect and review, revise, revisit, have a good look at everything, so that those things that you do really need to take smart action on actually can be done with more clarity and with more deliberation, and not just rushed into simply because you felt the initiative to make changes or to make action, and it's now not going fast enough and it's driving you nuts. So that's a biggie. And the other one is that Jupiter is in retrograde, and that's going to be in retrograde for until about June or July, I think, which is pretty full on. And so everything that you feel like you want to make progress in, be grateful that it's not making too much progress that you can't actually cover the work that you might be trying to do. You might easily overcommit, and if Mercury was direct, overcommitting would actually, not Mercury, sorry, or even Mercury and Jupiter, but if Jupiter was direct and you'd unwittingly overcommitted in order to try and cover all your bases, chances are you wouldn't be able to deliver, and that means disappointment both for you and for the people that you've tried to that you've actually overcommitted to. So something to really be aware of at this point in time too. It's okay to slow things down, even though we're all feeling the push to make some changes through this shift into Aries and kicking everything off at the beginning of this natural new year. So I'm going to draw a card. This is for the collective, and we'll see what comes through. And the first card that we have out of the deck is an interesting one for the collective. No thingness, it's called. And I'm a little bit of a loss to come up with some words right now, maybe because my brain, my mind has gone nicely blank, just like this card, but probably not a bad thing. Maybe that's what we all need to be doing. Just going into, let's just stop and not try and focus on anything and trust on the no thingness or the nothingness. It's a powerful time to make the most of this last part of the Mercury retrograde. We've got about 2 weeks left to go, which will it will come out of Mercury retrograde just in time for the next new moon, and the new moon will be in Taurus, which will be a different energy again from the Aries energy. So it's probably a good time to sit in the no thingness and go, right, I'm not going to try and do anything, make anything happen, or try and reach any major goals. I'm just going to see what comes to the surface by waiting or being in the quiet moment. And I think that's actually a really good thing. It's a great message for all of us. Sitting in the no-thingness, not being attached to anything, witnessing things passing us, witnessing the frustrations in ourselves, as well as watching other people. A huge conversation with a dear friend yesterday, and, you know, rabbiting on and on and on about all my frustrations. And he smiled at me and said, yeah, it's Mercury retrograde, isn't it? And I said, yeah, I know. And that's what really upsets me the most right now. It's really fucking pissing me off, because I just wanted to deal with a communication issue and a structure issue. And I can't. I have to come into myself and look at where the structure is within me, where the communication breakdown was within me, and where the expectation breakdown has been within me. And then I can move forward. So, yeah, it's a good time to come into that space, the blank slate, and have a good look at self. So this is the message for the collective, coming home into the self and having a good look at this. See what's going on for yourself in this part of your world, whatever part of your world it is. It's time to come into the blank slate and go, right, I'm going to fill it up with the important things for me, and what am I looking at for myself, and owning all of it and being responsible for it, and not being afraid of being responsible for it. This is really important. You know, it's easy to push all the responsibility of change onto other people, but it's not going to work if we don't make an effort to change ourselves for the better. You know, drop into humility, drop into self-awareness and clarity, and you'll be amazed at the shifts that happen around you, because you don't have to do anything once you've actually worked on yourself. That's the beauty of it. Of course, self-work is much harder, much, much harder. So I appreciate. Okay. So now we're going to have a card for Jody, and let's see which one comes. Oh, beautiful. Oh, dear Obi. Well, this is straight on the hot on the heels of the no thinkers card, you know, turning in. Yep, coming into self, looking at self, and this is actually probably the clear action card that comes directly from the no thingness, blankness. And yeah, having a good look, Jody, at, you know, where are you listening to yourself in your empowerment? Are you, you know, truly trusting yourself, or are you hearing lots of other people's voices and other people's suggestions and feeling pulled to follow their directives, because a lot of it makes sense, but not quite right for you. And it's a good opportunity to sit with it and go, I'm hearing really great information from other people. I love what they're having to say, but is it really resonating with me? Is it what I should be doing? And is it coming from my heart? Just turning inwards. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, perfect opportunity to do this. You know, our peers, our friends, they so love us, and they so want to be able to support us, but they also have a tendency sometimes, out of their desire to help, to speak about things that are from their perspective. And while on many levels it's a lot of valuable feedback, it's a lot of valuable information, it's also a directive that comes from them and not from you. So yeah, coming more from within yourself, really building on what's going on for you. Just reading a couple of Jodie's little messages, she's saying just building on more of her stuff. It's a good time to see where your friends are, yeah, and family are speaking to you, and is it yours? Can you own it, or is what they're saying relevant but maybe a little bit more tweaked to where you're at? And keep plucking out the best bits of what they're sharing, rather than taking on board, you know, wholesale what they have to say, and turning in and just allowing it all to bubble up to the surface for you. So I think that's a beautiful card, Jodie. Absolutely divine. So, and now we're going to draw a card for Rachel, who wasn't able to make it today. I'll see what comes to the surface for Rachel. Yes, how exciting. I think she'll be absolutely thrilled with this card. This is called Breakthrough. So I think it's really powerful from a self-empowerment perspective to, really witness your breakthroughs and really allow yourself to celebrate them, because sometimes things change and we make major change or major progress, but we don't often see it because it can often be disguised in a painful experience, or a really challenging time that has to readdress or addresses everything that you possibly have thought you've dealt with, but it brings it all back up to the surface and it needs to be readdressed, which is where I was going to go when I started the word readdress, but this is it. So these breakthroughs are probably going to show in really subtle ways. It looks gorgeous here because it looks like he's bursting his way through a great big brick wall. And on many levels, that's very true. But sometimes you don't know that you've gone through the major breakthrough, or you've had a major breakthrough until after you've been through the challenging or painful experience. So trusting that you are making change, trusting that you are actually making massive, massive progress, and you will see the breakthrough. It's just that it may actually be a little bit more of a soft land rather than a, push through the wall kind of explosion of some kind of superhero, bursting through the wall and ta-da, it's all done and it's all here and how fantastic. It could be a lot softer than this kind of image indicates. But that's a good thing too, because it doesn't have to be, such a massive revelation that it shakes the foundations of your world. Can be very subtle, and it can shake the foundations in a very, very different way. So all change is good, especially when you've got the awareness and the witnessing of yourself to acknowledge how much you've changed over time, and reflect on the good stuff. This is important for all of us to do. So that's a beautiful message for everybody. So let's come back to that overarching feeling, the collective of these cards. We have here the no-thingness, stepping into the quiet, and allowing this full moon to let these things bubble to the surface. Here we go. I'm going to come to the other side again now. Bubbling to the surface. And when they bubble to the surface, having a good look at ourselves and turning in and trusting whether or not this is your truth. This is about your empowerment. And when you actually do trust that it is your truth, you will have amazing breakthroughs and amazing awarenesses. And that's what this is all about, because this is trusting the inner process. It is painful sometimes, it is incredibly challenging, and it is really easy to take on board other people's stuff. But this particular time of change through this Libran full moon, and then recognizing that the time we have with the Mercury retrograde and also the Jupiter retrograde is, really allowing our truth to come to the surface, and letting it come up and trusting the process when we come across it and when we're actually dealing with it. And if you need help, if you need someone to talk to, please, please, please do yourself the massive favour, and I'm sounding like an old Australian TV personality here, do yourself a favour, find someone to talk to who can help you through this, someone you trust, someone you feel that you can rely on to give you clarity and objective observation of what it is you're going through, instead of them telling you their story or their perspective, or trying to tell you if they were you, this is how they would handle it. Because that sounds like a directive to you, and then somewhere in there you might unwittingly pick it up and take it and act from their perspective and not from your own. And then that's where you will most likely slide out of integrity for yourself. And, you'll then won't have the breakthroughs and the changes that you are probably on your path to having if you are listening to other people. So it really is sitting in the no-thingness, having the quiet, letting it all bubble to the surface, going through the process of literally turning in. And when you do that, you will have a beautiful breakthroughs. Oh, I can't speak anymore. Oh, my Lord. So thank you so much, everybody. This has been an awesome reading, and this energy of the full moon is really intense. So if you're feeling it, reach out and have a chat if you want to. I am more than happy to connect with you. If anyone's interested in having a discovery session with me to see whether or not the work that I do around empowerment can help you, you're very welcome to contact me through Facebook or through my website. And you can also book a time with the discovery session calendar. It's a very simple half-hour free session to see whether or not what I do and what's going on for you can actually be something that we can work together on. So that would be really amazing. So best wishes, everybody, through this period of time. About 2 weeks' time, we will have the Taurian new moon, and we'll be moving into a very different energy of indulgence and luxury, and goodness knows what else the planets are doing. But yeah, let's just get through this first 2 weeks, and particularly this Easter weekend or Passover or wherever you are on the planet. Yeah, have a great time, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. And thank you very much, everybody.